your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Chrissie is hilarious.
Chrissie, have you ever heard of the comedian Basha K. Ali?
No, that sounds like something you yell at before you blow up a plane.
Basha K. Ali!
30 seconds remaining.
But you know what, good thing to say I dabbled in stand-up for something. I haven't been disrespectful to you at all.
I was very confused by the title, Everything Everywhere All at Once, because that's also what we call it when Ash takes off his shirt. I shouldn't be up here. I should be in school on the other side of the ocean. Hello. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Chrissie Mayr Podcast. You can listen to us on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Rumble, Rockfin, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch even sometimes. Before I bring in our fabulous and controversial guest, I have a couple of stand-up comedy dates to promote. Thanks again to everyone who came out last night in New York City for Gino Bisconti's birthday show at Stand Up New York. I had a ton of fun. I got to try a bunch of new, really pregnant material. And then I tripped and fell in the back of the comedy club. Fun. I made a whole scene. It was great. I'm fine. Everything's fine. Okay. Next week, I'll be in San Diego with the dear and hilarious Lila Hart. I'll be headlining the Mic Drop Comedy Club out there in San Diego next weekend. Friday and Saturday, one show Friday, two shows Saturday. And I'm going to make a couple appearances at OAN while I'm out there at San Diego. So very excited about that. Then I'm heading back to Dallas Thursday, January 25th to headline Hyenas. Yes, this is the same comedy club where I had the Dylan Mulvaney heckler moment that went viral back in May. I'm so happy they're going to have me back. Maybe we'll have another viral moment. Let's see. And then I'll be back in Jersey headlining Morris Plains at Tiff's Ale House Saturday, February 24th. So come on out for that. And when I'm in Dallas, Keanu Thompson and Lila Hart will be joining me out there in Texas. So get your tickets now, ChrissieMayr.com. Hopefully I'll make an appearance at the Blaze too while I'm out there in Dallas. And then I'm going to probably not fly, because I'm going to try to push a human out of my body and then keep it alive for as long as possible. I'm not freaked out or anything. Okay. So happy that he could spare the time tonight to come on the show. His mentions have been blowing up all week. This has been all anyone's been able to talk about for the last week or so. So I'm happy he's here tonight to go into a little more depth. He is the CEO of Conservative Dad's Ultra Right Beer, and most recently the creator of a very demonic conservative ladies calendar. Seth Weathers, welcome to the show.
Great to be here.
You've had quite the week, sir.
It's been entertaining, that's for sure. It's the most uncontroversial controversy I've ever been involved in. And I've been involved in some controversies.
Now, before we get into all that, I want to get a little bit of your origin story. I'm embarrassed to say I had not even heard of Ultra Right Beer until this calendar gate, drama popped off. When did Ultra Right Beer start? Were you, I assume you were inspired by the canceling of Bud Light, but I could be wrong.
No, that is correct. So we launched in April of this year. So we've only been in business about 8 months. And we launched with a video that we actually promoted initially on Twitter, X now. Thank you, Elon, because I don't think the video we launched with would have been allowed to go viral like it did anywhere else. It went mega viral. I think on my Twitter alone, it's almost 50 million views. And then we had, a lot of Fox News and every other outlet in the world covering it that you can imagine. And so it really blew up in a very quick way. So we've been running hard since then. And so it's been a pretty wild ride.
Woo! How does one even start? So I assume this is what you were talking about,
Yeah.
this little promo right here. You know what? I'm going to play it because maybe some of you guys haven't seen this.
America's been drinking beer from a company that doesn't even know which restroom to use. That's why I created Conservative Dad's Ultra Right 100% woke-free beer. As conservatives, we're constantly getting hit in the face, left and right, by the woke mind virus. But the last place we want it is in our beer. If you know which bathroom to use, you know what beer you should be drinking. Stop giving money to woke corporations that hate our values.
Oh! How many takes did this take?
And to the rest of you woke
What? How many? I want to know how many tries it took.
For the bat?
Yeah, for the bat, and then
that was actually one take. I was actually doing that where my kids play baseball at the like local rec park, and we could see like all the kids coming up like ready to play a game. We I know the code to the field because I helped coach sometimes. So we went in and filmed it all, but like people were like walking up to take over the field. So we had like one shot at it. So it worked out.
humble brag. And then how many takes did it take for you to catch the ball?
Catching part was a mess, but that was more of an issue with the pitcher.
Of course, definitely not you. Well, it always helps to know a man with the field code. That's what I always say.
Yeah, it was helpful.
How does one even begin to create a beer company? Like that just seems so daunting to me.
You got to be a lunatic to jump into it the way we did. So we got into it. You know, I knew nothing about making beer going into this. I saw what was going on with Bud Light, and I was like, God, this will be a cultural moment. This will maybe be the one time that conservatives will finally stand up and last through a boycott. And so we went out, you know, started talking with different brewers and all this kind of stuff, trying to find people that could help us make it. You know, I'm going to try to sum up a long story short here. We eventually found one. The Newsweek called them and was like, oh, y'all going to make this bigoted conservative beer. Then they dumped us. So that was a bit of a disaster initially getting going. But we ended up with a great situation.
You were canceled. You were kind of canceled from your first attempt.
100% canceled. Yeah, they didn't deny us like, you know, aggressively. That's all right, little bitches.
And you're like, we actually brew racism right into the beer. You can't even taste it.
Yeah. Hidden feature, I guess. But so anyway, we ended up getting with a really good partner that we have actually producing the beer. We produce most of the beer in Florida now. And we're producing, you know, tractor trailer loads of this beer at this point. And so we did everything as a pre-sale, which allowed us to essentially have the funds to create something like this. I didn't have millions of dollars sitting around to create a beer company. And so it's really been a team thing. I know people say that, but it really has been a team thing with all of our customers that have come together and supported us from the beginning. And it's allowed us to start growing. You know, everyone said, well, you never find a brewer, you'll never get approval, you'll never get a distributor, you know, they'll never get it made. And all those things are things we've already accomplished in 8 months. And in that time, we've already given away over $150,000 to hardcore conservative causes that we believe in. So it's still, it's been a wild ride, and I think it's going to continue to be. And so we're going into stores now in multiple states. We're about to launch a whole bunch of additional states. That's a really tough thing. But beer companies spend decades trying to get distribution in stores in the states. We're already in multiple states statewide. So it's really, you know, we're trying to get into some of the bigger stores. Right now, we're mostly in package stores, convenience stores, that type of thing. But we've got some big things coming in the new year. So we're really excited. And this is a forever brand that, you know, we're going to continue on. This is, you know, not the only product we have. We'll have more products launching, beverage products over the next year.
That's really impressive. The only other guys I knew that started a company were the I don't know if you're familiar with the Drinking Bros out of Austin, and they have a company called Hard AF Seltzer, and it's actually like really good. And
Sounds familiar.
It always helps to buy from someone you know and are kind of friends with, or who it's nice to be able to put a face to the company because it's so easy. I mean, I before I got pregnant, I drank dozens of hard seltzer every week, so it's just nice. Like, I mean, I'll try any of them, but it's cool to see people that you know doing well and just starting something on their own, and that's pretty impressive that you're already in a couple of states. So wait, which states
It's
are
the
you guys
people who
selling
demanded
out
it.
of?
It's not that, the people have demanded it. That's the only reason we've been able to get out there, because we've had so much support from people that are going in and literally going to their liquor store and saying, "You've got Bud Light. Why don't you have Ultra Right? Why are you blocking them?" And so just all the people out there doing those things is what really allowed us to, get into these stores. So yeah, it's been kind of a crazy ride, and I think it's going to get a little crazier.
How did you figure out which causes that you wanted to donate to when you were thinking about
I worked in politics most of my life. I ran political campaigns for years. And so I knew, I'm not a big fan of donating to pretty much most PACs or candidates because it's a waste of money. We do give to one PAC that I'm a huge supporter of. It's the 1776 Project. Ryan Gerdusky runs that. They go in, they run school board races. It's about the most effective political race for the money that you can run cost-wise. And they've been flipping school boards all over the country, and they're getting rid of the, absolute lunatics that are on a lot of these school boards, and they're replacing them with normal people. And so we fully funded a full school board race with them this past year, and I hope we fund a whole lot more in the future.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think I saw on your Facebook did you used to work for Trump at all?
I did. So in 2016, I was the state director here in Georgia initially in the campaign when he launched. That was also a wild ride.
That's exciting. How did you get linked up to that?
It may have been I was the only person in the political consulting world that was willing to do it and eagerly willing to do it, probably. So that may have had something to do with it.
What did you like? What drew you to Trump initially?
I've been reading Trump since I was like 18 years old. I'd always followed business, always been interested in these things. I'd read The Art of the Deal probably the first time, probably before I was 18, and always thought this guy should run for president. And so when I heard he was running, I immediately started kind of reaching out to people and trying to get connected. And that's how I ended up. I was one of the first campaign hires they did in the country when, everyone told me I was ruining my career. This guy had no shot. You're a lunatic, et cetera. But I knew what was coming, or I like to think I did. And it's pretty wild.
If you're reading Art of the Deal at 18 years old, of course it makes sense that you're going to be an entrepreneur and, start your own beer company. That's not a surprise at all. Okay, so you made some waves. I'm going to bring up this article. This is from when you first started. Let's see, started the beer company. You were featured on Fox when you were putting out the commemorative Trump mugshot limited edition cans. That's very exciting. I saw this. I was like, man, I'm really too late on seeing this. Is there any possible way I can still order one of these, or did the window close?
You cannot. And if I were to say yes, I can send you one. Like everybody and their brother would ask for one.
I'm sure everyone's asking.
Maybe you should DM me afterwards.
No worries. But I just thought this was super cool.
The cans are pretty cool. People went wild over the cans.
And it makes sense because Dylan Mulvaney got to have his own limited edition can, which he denied at first, but
yeah, that whole thing. Well, hopefully Trump doesn't have any additional mugshots, and this truly is the only mugshot Trump can we ever do. I hope that was the one and done for Trump. But there could be more.
I hope so. I always wonder how many takes they let Trump have. Like sometimes I've gone to the DMV and I've gotten like a particularly friendly girl where I'm just like, can I see that? Oh God, can I just take it one more time?
That was actually his bail bondsman. I don't think they took more than one photo.
Wow. So he really had to nail it. He really had to do a lot of posing.
He was ready. He was practicing on the way without doubt.
Oh yeah. He knew it would be an iconic image.
Oh, for sure.
So let's fast forward to Calendargate. How did you first get the idea to do this?
I don't know. I'm trying to remember exactly when it popped in my head. It may have been when I realized that they started putting fat people in Sports Illustrated. I don't know. It may have had something to do with it. And I was like, conservatives need to do their own thing. And again, we have a beer company, and we're trying to. Beer used to be about fun, patriotism, fast cars, rock and roll, beautiful women. Yeah, well, I labeled it beautiful women, but you tie it all into that. And so I thought, why not have a tasteful calendar filled with conservative women, promoting the beer. This brings attention to it. The whole take on it is real women of America, because there's a lot of companies out there now that are promoting people that are certainly not women, promoting their products. And so we went about this very innocent project and ended up with a demonic calendar somehow. So I don't know how we ended up there. But look, it's a wild controversy. I don't know how it's still going on Twitter right now. There's literally a live stream going on while we're filming this right now.
Oh,
on
gosh,
another
really?
platform with, I think, like 12,000 people talking about it right now. Again, I don't know how it's still continuing to go, but it is. It's maybe the least controversial controversy I've ever been involved in. But I think there's different reasons why some people have problems with it. But these are the same people that they go to R-rated movies. Every single one of them wears a bikini.
Even the men.
Even some of the men. And they don't even, and they've just, I don't know. It's just really bizarre that this got picked on. I think if the women in our calendar had been unattractive and fat, I don't think we would have had as many complaints from some of these people. But it is what it is.
I love that you made this calendar, because I was talking to somebody, actually Jeremy Griggs from Geeks and Gamers earlier today about this. I'm like, the reason why Dylan Mulvaney took off, it's you look at all the trans influencers that they tried out, right? There was Caitlyn Jenner, but as soon as her, Caitlyn's politics became clear, they're like, oh, we got to get Caitlyn out of here. And then it was Ellen Page to Elliot Page. They're like, well, he's a little too mentally ill. We can't really sell anything with Elliot Page, so let's like sort of get him out of there. And then we have Dylan Mulvaney, which was like, oh great, he got so many brand deals out the gate. Didn't have to sacrifice his genitals, just got a little plastic surgery. And this was a bit like I talked about this on stage. He could wake up tomorrow and be like, yeah, I think I'm done being trans. And guess what? He would just be a dude with a tight face, kind of nothing really lost. He doesn't really have very much skin in the game, literally. So the standards of what it takes to actually be a trans influencer. And then that guy recently who blew up at the Delta employee was friends with Dylan Mulvaney. And he's another one of these trans guys who didn't really have to get rid of their dick and balls, but just grew their hair out, and then poof, now I'm getting brand deals. So if you're
alive, right?
If you're sort of like a floundering gay Broadway actor, I can definitely see the allure of like, just get a little bit of, surgery on your face, and you're going to blow up. And if all you're looking for is to be famous, then that's a deal you're willing to make. And so this calendar, you started sort of casting for it. Like I'm a little upset I wasn't thought of. I really think that I would make a great February. I don't know, because of the red hair.
I agree.
I saw you had Josie, and I was like, maybe you've got a one redhead max. I thought maybe that was the case.
We put this together in an incredibly short amount of time. We did the entire, from all the photographs, and this, we had to go all over the country to do it, from all the photographs and getting it printed within 30 days. And when you're dealing with that many different people, it's an impressive turnaround. I wish I thought of this, earlier in the year, but we wanted to get it out in time for Christmas.
No, that's smart. And yeah, timing is so important with something like this. So, I mean, if you guys have been living under a rock, so here, I think I don't have the calendar, but I think these are the 12 images involved in the calendar. And you worked with Riley Gaines, basically, and you have a percentage of the profits from the calendar going towards
the Riley Gaines Center.
The Riley Gaines Center, which Riley is an icon. She, I think, was one of the first actual athletes to stand up against men competing against women.
She's such a good spokesperson. Like, I've never heard her give a bad speech or a bad interview. And, the girl's only like, I don't know, 23 or 24. So I think she's going to be a rock star within the conservative movement for many years to come. That's for sure.
It's amazing. And I remember, we all remember the months that went by. We're like, okay, a lot of sort of influencers and talking heads and sort of politicians are talking about how important this is. But there were no actual athletes standing up and sticking their necks out, understandably, because I think a lot of these women that are college age, they are under the impression they'll never be able to be hired. They're going to lose their scholarships. They're going to lose their positions on the team. It's pretty scary when you're just kind of a young adult starting out, and you're not going to throw yourself in to be canceled into the cancel fire right away. So I really applaud Riley for doing that. And she was recently at the Turning Point USA event I was at last weekend in Phoenix. So I just think, whether she becomes like a sort of conservative influencer with the rest of her adult years or not, she's already made such an impact in speaking out. So here are the pictures. Sarah Gonzalez, we know her, we love her from The Blaze. Dana Loesch, and again, like, Riley's in a bathing suit all the time, and she's in great shape. Yes, it's a bikini in this instance instead of like a Speedo. And look, I was a competitive springboard diver all throughout college. I don't even think I wore a bikini until like 25 or something. So I wonder if it's like it was the weirdest feeling of like, oh my God, I'm actually like showing my stomach. But you know what? If anybody had maybe asked me to be in a conservative calendar, maybe I would have donned a bikini a little sooner. And then we have who's Bethany Bartlett?
She is, it's funny, we're all siloed into these different areas. So she is, as she jokingly says, she's TikTok famous. She has a few million followers on TikTok, and she's been posting videos for a long time. She does a lot of different stuff. She's talking politics. She's big on fitness. Her and her husband own some gyms in Florida, and so fitness is kind of obviously her thing. So she'll do these lives talking about different political things. So she's like riding a bike, doing that kind of stuff. She'll tell political jokes, a lot of stuff like that. So just really great person.
And this is not so crazy. I mean, there's a girl who went viral the other day for wearing painted on pants to the gym.
I saw that.
And here Bethany is in actual pants and a top, and she's not like bending over. She's not.
You saw way more revealing, I guarantee you, the TPUSA event you were at a week ago than you're seeing right here.
None of these women are doing like what I would say like a come and get it pose. Dana Loesch fully clothed, Sarah Gonzalez clothed, and Josie I think maybe caught the most flack.
Josie did, and it was a bizarre thing where. So if you look at her photo, I don't know if people can really see it on the screen, but she's standing there in her kitchen. She's a literal award-winning pie baker. And pie baking is one of her big things. So we're like, hey, this is a good fit for you to do this. So we have her in the kitchen. She's baking pie. That's her house, her kitchen. And if you see in the background on the wall, she has a crucifix or cross, whatever. That's part of her religious beliefs. And so it doesn't even make sense when you're trying to relay what the supposed controversy is. It's hard to even explain. So evidently, because even though they're like, okay, so she's not in a swimsuit, not doing anything sexual, but because there's a cross in the background and she's trying to be attractive, is demonic. But the person that said that's unfortunately retarded. He probably shouldn't be allowed to be talking online without his family helping him out or something.
You're talking about Bryson Gray, who I actually know and love, and
then you should get him some mental health treatment soon, because he like maybe his wife could help him out. I don't know, but he does not come across as the most intelligent individual I've had a conversation with this week, and I've had some wild conversations this week. But nonetheless, I understand he's your friend.
So the issue was. There's a cross in the background, and I guess
so according to him,
Christians, Catholic women cannot show their lower thighs, knees, calves, shins, which I didn't know was a thing.
Yeah, well, again, the whole fake controversy is ridiculous, and Josie's great, and she's done a great job dealing with the stupidity that's come from it. And she bakes an incredible pie. My kids ate that.
She does.
Pie. I ate some.
Her pies. I've seen photos of her pies. To me, they're pornographic. The crust work she does, the lattice work. Yep. She'll make little flowers out of dough. And anyone who's ever made their own pie crust by hand, it's like watching a surgeon work. Like the crust that she's able to make. If first of all, this is why most people, they just buy a pie crust from Pillsbury and then they just thaw the thing out and they throw it on top. It's like you guys don't understand, like, to make your own pie crust, not only is it like, it's so grueling and it's like, it's pretty unnecessary, but it's something like, if you're into the art of pie making, you do. Like, I will make my own pie crust because I just feel like it's kind of like a respect, dignity thing. I feel like it's like, if you're a pie snob, you're like, okay, are you going to do Crisco? Are you going to do butter? I've had conversations with her about crusts. That's what my DMs look like. Just a lot of crusty conversations. And again, I have so much to say. Yeah, Josie's great. I think she has a lot of influence online, but she's pretty well known. She's done Timcast. She runs a lot of spaces on Twitter, which she's very fair about.
Oh, yeah.
I'll never forget. I was on a space with her. I think we're talking about comedy or getting canceled or something, like anti-wokeness in comedy. And I told her, I was like, look, I have a big troll like that's raising his hand to speak, just letting you know, like, it's just someone who hates me personally and hates a lot of my content creation friends that I do content with. And he's just like, no, everyone has trolls and haters and just people who like live to make your life worse. And I was like, okay, well, this guy's like in the chat and he's raising his hand to speak. And she was like DMing me. While this is going on. She's like, look, I'm going to let him speak because that's how I roll. But if he's disrespectful, I'll deal with it if and when that happens. And then sure enough, like, he was super disrespectful. But you know what? I actually really appreciated that. And I thought that showed a lot. That showed me a lot about her, because she wasn't just going to like ban this guy or not let this guy speak just because he was shitty to me. She was like, no, I'm going to give him a chance, just like I would anybody else who's on one of these spaces. And I was like, I really appreciate how you handled it. You were very fair and you let this guy speak his mind. I mean, then he got disrespectful and she kind of was like, all right, we're going to move on to the next person, because he tried to make it about something else. But I'll just always remember that about her. I think she's very fair. She's a mom. She's raised like 3 girls. I mean, she's walking the walk. And then Ashley St. Clair too, also a mom. I think this photo here, maybe she was trying to do
it was Audrey Hepburn kind of
spoof. Yeah, it's Audrey Hepburn, but also I think Dylan Mulvaney tried to do this look, and she's like, well, I guess I'm going to do it, but actually,
well, again, we did a real women version of it.
Yeah. Then we have Kimberly Klasick. Again, this is not she's got great legs, not demonic in my opinion. Again, these images are not anything that I think each of these women would not have posted on their own Instagrams. It's not like oh God, I'm ashamed to have done that. Here's Riley again. She looks great. Who's Peyton Drew?
She is a producer for OAN Network, and she's also Dan Ball's fiance.
Oh, okay. She looks great. Again, like classic. Like I took a lot of pinup photos like 10 years ago. I don't know. It's kind of a fun thing, and that's really what this calendar reminds me of. Ashley St. Clair again, like spoofing on the whole Dylan in the bathtub thing. Who's Catalina Lauf?
She ran for Congress. She's been on Fox a good bit. I know she goes different networks. I know she's been on Newsmax a lot. But again, she ran for Congress. I want to say it was the year when Adam Cringinger, how do you say his name?
Cringinger sounds more fun.
I know. I was trying to, there's a play on his name though.
Kinzinger, someone in the chat. You guys know what we're talking about.
But anyway, when he left his district, she ran for that seat. That seat had gone Democrat, unfortunately, by that point, which is why he didn't want to run for re-election. So she ran for that. I think she's got a lot ahead of her, and I think she'll be running again in the future.
And again, it's like she's just standing in front of a car. She's wearing heels, which are always going to make your legs look better. That is something that men trying to be women don't know, but that actually.
Oh my God, I learned so much. I probably didn't really learn anything, but I heard and saw so much related to makeup and crap that I had no knowledge of prior to this whole calendar shoot. It's unbelievable.
Yes, and now you know enough to transition, Seth.
Yes. It would take way too much effort and time for me. I can tell you that. Like, I'd be like, okay, so they're like, oh, what time does the makeup person get there? I'm like, well, what time do you want? And they would say like hours before we were going to shoot. And I'm like, what are you going to do for hours? But they did.
It's this is what dudes don't understand. Like the actual, if you were to line up all the hours like women spend cumulatively on figuring out just from preteen to teen to adulthood, how much time, money, effort we spend on figuring out like, okay, what styles look the best on it. It takes you until your mid to late 20s to figure out how to even do your hair. So it's like a dude trying to be a woman year 1, year 2. Sorry, you're just not going to figure that out. Maybe not ever. And clothes, again, shoes, everything. It takes a very long time. And most women kind of settle on a signature look because most sort of trends don't flatter everyone. But
I think I would have gone with a wig. It sounds easier.
Oh yeah, for sure. A tasteful wig. But yeah, Catalina in front of a car, nothing crazy here. And who's Brittany Jean?
Brittany Jean, she runs the Tampa Bay Young Republicans. I'm not sure if they're the biggest or one of the biggest young Republican organizations in America. So she's been involved with that. She's been involved with TPUSA and a lot of different organizations like that. She's also an attorney and a mom.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, really, when I saw this image, I was like, "That's it." Okay, and I understand Christian conservatives reacting the way that they do, but I think Calendar Gate is just a really good example of how the sort of disconnect between sort of social and political conservatism and Christian conservatism. And I think, and I understand why these people have the views that they do. Like,
I don't even believe that. That's what everyone's trying to say and come up with a reason for this. I just don't believe it. I think it's a lot of people that are jealous, a lot of people that are looking for something to pick at. Look, half these people that have issues with it, they're dropping their kids off in pools and as the same attire or less attire than is in this calendar. So they're hypocrites, which is not surprising. But I don't think there's like they're just social. Like Baptists wear bikinis, okay? So I don't think we can just explain it away. I think Bryson started a ridiculous conversation. People jumped in because when people see something happening online, they have to jump into a side. And so, whatever the reason is, they, in their own mind, they come up with it. And I think they just run with it. Once you're going down the hill, you just keep going. But I would say the vast majority, and obviously they're the loud, squeaky wheel, but the vast majority of the people are on the other side of this. I mean, sales have gone up tremendously once this controversy started.
Oh, I bet. Bet it has to be a net positive.
Oh, big time. And it was like Josie's followers went up. I got more followers online. So again, it was not that, people want to paint it as this big negative, but it's just a few loud people, spouting off for whatever reason.
And I totally understand. Like, I'm very good friends with Melanie Mack, who is definitely on the Christian conservative side of things. But it's like this calendar was not marketed as a Christian conservative calendar. Again, nobody is taking photos that I think they would regret or be ashamed to show their friends or family or children. I do agree with you on the point where I feel like a lot of times these men or women who shame the most are ones that might be like, God, I hate that I'm turned on by this. I have no control over it. So I'm just going to shame you, when it's like, you can acknowledge your biology as a man and still be a good Christian. It's reality. It's like that. Yes, pretty women are going to make you feel a way. It's like it's a tale as old as time.
Yeah, the Bible talks about beautiful women, and there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. Matter of fact, it's celebrated.
Yeah, and it's just. There's been a lot. I mean, I like that this conversation has gone on for what day of Calendar Gate are we on?
Oh my God.
now?
I don't know. I can't believe it's not ending. I texted someone earlier. And I was like, how is it still going? Like someone sent me a link. I think it was on Josie's. I had this, you'll have to find it on your own. I'll send it to you. But someone like compiled where they're like, post the memes. Like you would not believe the amount of memes that people put, like a lot of effort has gone into this. I think maybe being right after Christmas or right before New Year's, maybe more people had a little more time on their hands. I don't know, but I am amazed at how much it's continued to keep going. And who knows, by the time we get off of this, what's happened with it. So
you're 100% right. And I think it does have to do with the fact that people had more time on their hands during the holidays.
We have raised over $20,000 for the Riley Gaines Center since we launched this calendar earlier this month. And obviously, like I mentioned, we've been giving to other conservative causes. So again, it's been fun and entertaining for me the last few days. A little bit, it gets a little annoying when some of the people are so disingenuous. But for the most part, I've been entertained by it. And, at the first of the year, we're going to get back to selling beer and, doing what we do. I think it's brought a lot of good attention to our company. I think it's brought us a lot of new customers we would have never had otherwise that now know about us. But we're going to continue moving forward, selling beer and having fun. And, those that want to complain and whine can do so in the comments, I guess.
It's just, I'm sure it's just a small minority of people, but again, they are quite squeaky. So here are the Calendar Gate memes. Yes, Josie, demonic art back then, demonic art now. it does seem kind of silly considering when you look at some of the pop stars, like what they're able to do and get away with and perform with on stage. Yes, I know they're supported by like the mainstream establishment, which I think is way more and actually demonic than this calendar and what you guys stand for, and the folks that you've involved in this. But you know what it is, Seth? It's like, you guys are accessible. Josie is accessible. You're accessible, Seth. People can find your handles and tweet at you and scream at you. Whereas nobody's able to tweet at Doja Cat or like Lady Gaga.
I don't know what a Doja Cat is, but I believe you on that.
I don't know what a Doja Cat is. I think there was one in the trash last night.
I'm out of the loop on these kind of things.
Yeah, I think that's the thing too. And anyone who gets a lot of shit online, it's because you're kind of accessible, and I think the folks that are really part of the problem are inaccessible, and their managers and handlers would never give you the time of day. But someone like Josie, like you'll actually write back. Here's another one. I don't really understand this meme here, but it's they were able to like flip Josie's image.
I do understand that one. It's pretty funny if you know the background.
I don't know the background. Okay.
So that's Jenna Ellis. She was the one that, like, I don't know if you'd say she flipped on Trump, but she more or less did this whole, like, it kind of came across like a fake cry reading a letter of like she was so sorry for trying to overturn the election or some BS like that. And so I think they just switched it out. She's been all over Josie about, she's been calling this soft porn.
Oh, okay. I think people who are calling it softcore porn have not seen softcore porn because
no, they have. They're liars. They're hypocrites and liars. Trust me. Don't ever give them that excuse. They know exactly what porn is, probably way more than you or I do, which is why you get this response from them. And so again, you got someone calling this stuff softcore porn. It's just so incredibly dumb. I can't even wrap my head around it.
Yeah. Supporting a pretty modest Real Women calendar. Nope. But celebrate a podcast that has become the biggest promoter for OnlyFans girls. Oh, I wonder if they're talking about the whatever podcast, probably, or Fresh and Fit. Did we trigger the libs? And then it's you saying, no, just the conservatives. What did it cost? $25. That's from the Avengers. And this is a classic Pornhub. Yeah. Of course, I wouldn't know what that looks like. I don't ever watch that. Red Fox Conservative Movement, Pornhub, join the classic porn now. That's cute. I almost can hear the theme song in my head. Okay, let's go back. Let's see if there are any more salesperson of the month. This is tricky. I like Bryson. I just don't think this is the hill to die on. I just don't think Seth Weathers, pro calendar, anti calendar. Goddamn, these memes are hilarious. Oh, and here's a cartoon by George Prime. Conservative half-naked women standing next to Christian imagery is demonic. It's very much a stretch to call this demonic compared to everything else that's going on.
Not compared to anything. That's the insanity about this.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, most of the pictures on my Instagram are probably also demonic. But
oh God,
again, I don't think anybody. Do you know if anybody who posed in this calendar considers themselves a Christian conservative?
I mean, Josie. I mean, I guess she's Catholic. I don't know how you want to classify that. But yeah, I would say probably most of them.
Yeah.
I didn't get into deep religious conversation with every single individual here. Again, we're a beer company, but I know they're conservative politically, and I think most of them are conservative religiously as well.
Show me on the doll where the calendar hurt you. Oh, and there's the full cartoon. Yeah, it's like when you hear people going off about this, it's like it does almost sound sometimes like these conversations could be a sneeze away from the folks that are like, I'm going to just push a gay off the roof because they're sinning, or like women can't show their ankles. And it's like, God, I really don't want people on the right to sound almost like Islamic extremists in that way, or Muslim extremists in that way. And it's like, oof, like I just, again, of all the battles to fight.
It's not a good one.
This looks like an AI. Adorable.
Yeah.
Pies, America.
Yeah, give me some ideas for next year.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes, classic. These are classy pinups.
I think they're demonic.
Everything's demonic.
See, I don't like that. People editing photos of different people and it's whatever.
Yeah, they're not all winners, but it's definitely been interesting to watch for sure. So I'm glad that, and then this has been getting tons of press. Here you guys are in Newsweek. I think this came up today.
Yeah, I scanned through that one. They did not ask me for comment, which is odd. I mean, it may have something to do with the last few times they've asked me for comment on things. It was not a fair and balanced approach. I just kind of scanned it, so I didn't fully read it, but it did not seem fair and balanced. I'll put it that way.
Angers Christians demonic. That's happened to me so many times where there'll be an article written. They'll be like, "Oh, we tried to reach Chrissy for comment," and I'm like, "No, you didn't. Like, you absolutely did not try to reach you." That gets on my nerves for sure.
I don't even think they claim that. Unless, again, I'd have to go read the whole thing, but I don't think they actually even claimed that in this case.
Yeah, the argument is that this was something that was put out and to only target and tempt conservative men, many of whom could be married. But I'm like, here's the thing: if you could not buy the calendar. Also, knowing what and of course, at this point, all the images are on Twitter and you can see them without buying the calendar. And here's the thing: Twitter has always had a porn problem on it. And if that is something you have a core issue with, you could either get off Twitter or mute everyone and block everyone to the point where absolutely no images of females will cross your path. And
I wouldn't go to the grocery store. If you're in that kind of predicament, I don't think I'd even recommend going to the grocery store.
Right. It would be hard to leave your house. It would be hard to go to events.
I'm thinking you should live
weddings.
in a cave. You should put your wife in I don't know, maybe some kind of large cloth that would cover her entire body. Perhaps move to a desert.
Yeah.
Just some suggestions I would have if that's something that you struggle with.
I think addressing the forces out there that are trying to groom our kids is probably more important.
And that is exactly, I'm joking obviously here, and that is something. So again, a portion of all our proceeds from the beer company, we go to the 1776 PAC, which is overturning school boards. Again, a lot of conservative causes are actually making changes. We've got literal schools, and it sounds so nutty to say, but we have actual schools giving porn to children that are 8 years old right now. And that's what we're fighting as a company. And to hear the backlash on this, I just I don't know. It's hard to give it a lot of serious attention. I think I've been rather flippant probably in a lot of my response. It's because I think they're stupid probably. And so I think that probably causes me to be flippant.
Understandably so, especially when you look at a lot of leftists who, what's been really getting on my nerves lately is like a certain leftists or these like woke teachers will say like, "Oh my God, these are banned books. They're banning books from schools." And it's like, oh my God, they're not banned when they have their own special little showcase at Barnes and Noble. They're right front and center. You can go ahead and buy them at bookstores or on Amazon or at online bookshops. It's like they're not actually the banned books are all of our textbooks and history books that are literally being rewritten and reprinted to change history. That's more of a ban than it's like if you really want to go out and get your kid a jerk off instruction book for kids, like you can go do that. These books are not banned just because parents don't want them in your kid's library.
Yeah, we've reached a nutty point in life when these are the situations we have. And I'm for being called, I guess, the rhino or whatever for producing the demonic calendar. Like, a lot of these things are probably more extreme than most. Like, I think if you give these kids these books at school, like, I think you should go to jail. Like, if you ever give my children, I'm a 6 and 11-year-old. If you ever give my children some of these books that are in schools, I will go to jail for a couple nights. No problem. You getting arrested would be the best possible outcome. And I'm not even joking. And the thing is, more dads, conservative dads, need to take that stance. We've got such a generation of, can I cuss on this thing?
Cuss away.
Okay, we've got such a generation of fucking pussies. And I even mean the conservative movement. And until that changes, all of these things aren't going to change. And I don't understand how they're like, you know, I don't want to talk about where my kids are at school or whatever, but we don't have the issue with those books. But if they did, I can assure you I would be there as a member of the school along with other dads, and it wouldn't be there for long. Again, maybe we get in trouble. Go, Seth, you got to follow the law. You got to go through the process. Well, you're talking about our kids. It's a little different. So I think it's time for people to man up when it comes to these situations.
Do you think conservatives in general have become pussified, or have you noticed specifically within men?
Everyone, well, men in general. I mean, and honestly, it's something I've talked about a lot for years. Is you look at the testosterone levels, it's unbelievable. I wish I had these numbers in front of me. So roughly, I think from 1980 to now, we're at roughly half the testosterone levels we have. That is a crisis level situation, and no one really cares for the most part or talks about it. If you're talking half the level of testosterone since 1980, and it's continuing to plummet, I think it's like 1% to 2% a year, you're creating such a weak category of men that a lot of the problems we face are because of this, because people are afraid to be men and stand up for anything. And I think that there you go. You have some numbers on it.
Age match time trend was 1.2% lower per year. Mean testosterone levels were lower in 2011-2016 cycles than between 1999 and 2000. So it seems like every 20 years their testosterone levels are remarkably lowered, and that's very concerning.
It's going down 1.2% per year, or whatever. Is it 1.6? I can't read that from here. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and again, this has to do with, yes, a lot of it is diet, but it's again like it's preservatives in our foods. There's a lot of birth control in the water. It's I mean, there's a lot you do have control over. I mean, there's a lot we don't have control over. But
lifting weights for men, that's the number one thing you can do. Lifting weights and eating right, obviously, and cutting out processed foods. Like I did that a couple of years ago, and it was life changing for me in every way. Like I have more energy now than I did in my 20s, which I should be embarrassed, and I am embarrassed to say, because I wasn't doing all these things in my 20s. I wasn't working out, doing that. You're kind of living on being in your 20s and not needing to do those things. But it's better to not do as I did. It's better to start young. That's for sure.
And what I like about you, Seth, is like you actually have an attitude of, drink beer, but minimally. Like you should be eating steak. You should be lifting weights. You should.
Yeah, we actually have that on the cans. Like people try to get me like, oh, Seth's tweeted stuff about, testosterone being lowered by drinking too much beer. And I'm like, I still talk about that.
Yeah, you said it should be treated like a dessert.
Yeah, if you go out there drinking beer all the time and you're not lifting weights, you're not doing these things, then yeah, you're going to end up having a beer gut sitting on the couch eating potato chips, and you can't play ball with your kids in the yard. So like these are things that matter, I think, for conservatives and just, for people in general.
And you're not saying, well, it's not really reasonable or rational to think like, yeah, most guys are going to completely give up beer and all drinking. It's like, no, okay, you can tweak your diet, you can exercise more, and you're going to have a beer. And if you're going to have a beer, like, why not have an ultra right beer?
Yeah, why not drink one from a company that doesn't hate you and your values is the way we look at that.
Yeah. How has been like the response, I guess, from your family and friends over all this calendar gate?
I think just mostly amused, like I think people are just amused because I think people that know us and know what we're doing with the company, they pretty much everyone that I've seen that's looked at this has just been confused. Like, wait, people are mad about what? They're like flipping through the calendar again. And they're like, who's mad? I'm like, I don't know, some dude on Twitter. And they're like, well, yeah, that's why you should stay on Twitter, Seth. And I'm like, I agree. And granted, I've been sick and laying in bed the last few days, engaging in all this nonsense, which is probably not healthy at all. But that will come to an end here soon.
It's okay. Yeah. Like I think that this will only happen more and more often. And yeah, this sometimes it is fun to respond to people and play with it a little bit. But yeah, if you ever really want this stuff to end, it's like, yeah, you just have to give it zero oxygen and And
I was too
eventually
amused
people
by
get
it.
over
Like I
it.
said, I was in bed sick, and I was
It
amused
is.
by it. And Josie was out there fighting the whole battle. So I was like, all right, I got to stay engaged in this.
It is amusing. And like a problem I have with this, that I have with the point that these Christian conservatives are making, that I honestly believe like not everything is a slippery slope. You look at the women that are on this calendar, how they conduct their lives, they're all fully grown. And sometimes have heard this position of like, well, if I don't call this, it's my job. You know, these Christians feel like they have to call this out. If they don't call out sin, they're not like doing their duty to
Yes.
God or whatever.
And
And I get it, but it's not like these women are no name 22-year-old, you know,
right.
lost women that are a sneeze away from starting an OnlyFans. I mean, it's like Josie doesn't need to be shamed. It's not like Josie's going to start selling feet and butthole pics unless we shame her publicly. Like these women are not, they don't need saving.
Yeah, well, I came from a very evangelical background, so I understand a lot of the arguments and stuff on the other side. The one thing I will say is for all these people like the feeling the need to call it out, like Bryson, people like that. Look, the Bible says gluttony, aka being fat, is a sin. I don't know, maybe Bryson would call it demonic. So I think if people want to go around yelling at these women for wearing a swimsuit or for wearing a dress in their kitchen or whatever, why don't they take that same energy and effort and go yell at their friends for being fat? No one wants to talk about that.
No one. It's less fun.
It's not a fun conversation, is it? I know, but it's fun for me. I like saying because it makes everyone very uncomfortable because I actually have the knowledge of it to back it up, and they get very uncomfortable when you say that. It's people picking and choosing. Get the plank out of your own eye before you start dealing with the specks and others, I guess would be my response to that.
Yeah, and it's because I have a lot of friends who they've either done porn or still do porn or do OnlyFans, and it's like it's not my job to shame them. And again, it's a different conversation when it comes down to like, what would you want for your kids, or if you're close friends, or if someone's actually asking for you advice, or if somebody's on the fence. Like if someone were asking me, Chrissy, I'm on the fence about like starting an OnlyFans, I'd be like, all right, well, here's all the pros and cons, things I've learned over the years from and the regrets I've heard people. But again, like I feel personally, I'm not going to tell somebody what to do unless they're actually asking me for advice. And there are plenty of women that I've seen like pay off their parents' mortgage with OnlyFans. And if that works for you, it's up to each individual to determine what the life cost of pursuing these paths are. And I know women who have really regretted being actually in the sex work industry. And when you compare that to like this calendar, I mean, God, it's just so tame.
I would agree.
We got a couple of comments in the chat here. Thank you, Chris Benoit. Hi, Seth. Pitch for next calendar. Wrestler father figures. Every young boy needs a strong dad. I'd love to be the month of April.
I don't know what a wrestler father figure is. Like just meaning like WCW style or something. Or
I think Chris Benoit is a person who is doing the character of Chris Benoit, who I think killed their whole family. I forget the lore, but they're being funny, and I was tricked the first time as well.
Well, we are thinking about doing a men's calendar. Hey, so why does Seth totally focus on the culture war stuff? So all adult material.
Oh yeah, Michael Gavinelli. Hey, Chrissy, why does Seth totally focus on the culture war stuff? Is Seth okay banning all adult material? Michael Gavin. Okay, he is a fan of mine. He is obsessed with porn. So just take that into account.
Obsessed. So here's the thing. I don't take anything in other people's opinions into account. I give my own. But I guess I get what you're saying. No, I'm not for banning anything.
He's not for banning anything.
Like if you're a consenting adult, do your thing. I'm not just kind of like you were saying too earlier. Like there's gonna be costs and things to weigh and all that kind of stuff that you have to decide for yourself. It's the children. When you start talking to children about these things, that's where I get real activated. But yeah, do your thing. I'm not here to
Michael's confused.
take away your rock lyrics.
JV, I say Josie takes the cake, or in this case, pie. Yes, she does. She's a pie-nographer. Sergeant Hodel, thanks for the super chat. Seth, I was thinking your beer should bring back 1980s Budweiser blonde bathing suit style and maybe throw in a dash of Baps Handsome Thursday to really pee off the blue-haired ones.
I don't know. All right, I'm gonna play. What is Baps?
I don't know. I think this might be
making fun of me. I figure it's like some internet stuff I should know.
No.
reveal my lack of knowledge of these things.
I do remember the old school Budweiser.
I remember those commercials, which was funny because conservatives were talking about those commercials earlier this year and how great they were of getting back to the old traditional beer commercials with attractive women selling beer. So.
Yeah, and that's what you were trying to do, like kind of tongue in cheek. Again, nobody was trafficked. Everyone was comfortable. Everyone was enthusiastically consenting to this. It's not like some of these women were like, well, I had to post in this conservative calendar, or else I couldn't feed my family. It's
it wasn't even a paid gig.
No, it's even better. Come on,
I know.
Joshua, Jenna Ellis didn't have the money to fight in court, so her settlement required her to write and read an apology letter in court. I'm not super familiar with Jenna Ellis, but I think she was someone who was also very critical of the calendar.
Yes.
And Russell Hall, would Seth be willing to give us a quick foot shot? Don't listen to him, Seth.
I've had a whole these people have found me.
I do think a conservative men calendar. I would enjoy it.
We're seriously considering doing it. I'm gonna have to load up on the creatine between now and then, though.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people are like, Chrissy, you should have been in the calendar. I'm like, yes, I agree, but not in my current state, as I am 5 months pregnant, and
you're in.
I'm full blown more than a little bit pregnant, and every night I have to oil myself up like I'm a stripper in a small town, except nobody's gonna come to the strip club. That's how I feel every night, because I have to put on various oils to prevent stretch marks, and I go like, wow, this is hot, but no one's gonna see this.
There was some people I saw. There was literally a contingent of individuals that were mad that we did not have images of women with their children and pregnant women in it. So I don't know how long you can hang on to being pregnant there. You got a limited time frame here, but
I think no, because then I think they would have had even more of a problem. Like, oh God, this is a mom. There's kids like that.
Here's another thing I forgot to mention. So the cross on Josie's wall, which made all this thing go completely haywire with everyone. Can you imagine if I had gone into her house and I was like, hey, Josie, I want to take your sacred religious cross off your wall before we take these photographs, because I just don't think it's a good idea for our stuff. Can you imagine if I had said that, what that outcry would have been?
Yeah, and she's actually Catholic. She said that she has a cross in every room. You
can see all these photos she's had from the past, that same cross, same room, all this. People act like they use it as like a prop or something. I was like,
she's not, and I just think the term grifter has become a catch-all for anyone that's jealous of someone's success, anyone who I think a lot of it does.
Evidently, everyone involved is a grifter. I'm evidently a grifter. I don't even really know what the hell it means anymore. I think it just means you run a company and sell something.
Yeah, you're doing okay.
I don't give away beer for free to everyone.
I get called a grifter every day. Russell Hall, this little piggy went to market. No, Russell. There will be no piggies going to market. Junior, get Blair White for next year's calendar. Okay, well, this is an interesting idea.
Yeah, we're kind of going with the Real Women of America thing. So we're gonna have to go with a no on that. I'm sure Blair's very nice.
Might be a little hypocritical. Yeah, I love Blair. I think she's doing it right. If you're trying to be trans, be like Blair White or Buck Angel. I think they have their shit together for the most part of all the trans people I've met and known. Interesting, Seth. All of this is definitely a net positive. Are we going to do another calendar next year? We might do a men's calendar.
For sure. A minimum of one calendar. So all the people that are upset, they need to rest, relax, get hydrated, and get ready for next year just for another mental meltdown. It's going to be horrific.
Yeah, again, it's just not. And I think, again, like, you guys were targeted because it was easy to target. It was an easy thing to make a splash about and virtue signal on without having to actually
do anything,
do any work or donate to a cause or actually help anybody.
Exactly. And that's why I just don't take a lot. And look, like I said, I've been kind of just whatever with this stuff, because all the people that complain the most, they're not out there doing anything. And so if you just want to complain to me about how I'm doing something, show me what you've done and what you're doing, and then maybe we can talk. But I'm still not really that interested. I'm doing my thing. You do your thing. I just, I think a little live and let live would be helpful.
Any thoughts on maybe starting a hard seltzer or starting a wine line? I might be interested in that in a year or so.
Anytime soon. The seltzer things they go through so many fads. It's an interesting business. But there are some more things coming I would love to be able to tell you about.
Ooh, secrets. Okay.
It's some good stuff though.
I'm excited. Well, I'm proud of you guys. I think a little controversy is always good. It can only help calendar sales.
I agree. People should lighten up and have fun, which is back to what beer companies were all about. Hey, by the way, this country was founded on beer. I want to remind people of that too.
People drank liquor because they didn't trust the water, I think, back in the day.
I think they just like to drink beer.
Imagine they're just like, we don't trust this water. Ooh, this is how we have to stay hydrated.
And Franklin's like, I don't know. Franklin woke up every morning and he drank, I guess it was like 16 ounces or something like this. Like it's in his little, they all wrote these little diaries like, today I'll do this or whatever. But it was like hard cider. Every morning is how he just started out his day, like a couple pints of it or something like that. You have to go back and look at it. Yeah, he just roll out of bed that way.
I would be in a better mood too if that was my breakfast.
I don't know how they functioned with the amount that they drank of that stuff on a regular basis, but I don't know.
Well, there was no social media back then, and so nobody would notice if you spent like large portions of your day drunk or sleeping.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So I got the quill pen broke, so I was out looking for a new turkey, had to pluck it. Took me all morning.
Yeah,
get that decoration done soon.
And again, I would say most conservatives or folks on the right are not, even though they might be Catholics or they might be Christian. It's like, I think most folks kind of fall in the middle, and most people would agree, like, this is not the hill to die on, and we've got much bigger problems. And anyway, I think you've all handled yourselves well in this, and I'm excited to see what is next for you. And if anybody wants to order ultra right beer and they don't live in a state where it's sold, where can they get it? Is that even possible?
It is not every state, but in a lot of states. If you go to ultrarightbeer.com.
Ooh, okay. ultrarightbeer.com. Boom. You can get the calendar. Again, I am not in this year's calendar. And if you want to order 100%.
I get it. Threw this thing together. So many people are mad at me right now for so many different reasons. Got people mad they're not in the calendar, mad about people they're in the calendar. Like
I'm outraged.
Exactly. Unbelievable.
You should put only 5 ingredients and have the 5th ingredient be like freedom or something.
Legally, all the dumb stuff we have to deal with and all that. I don't know that I can say that. But I have to put in my little jabs in the comment section, I think.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. You do have to.
Yeah, the federal government has to approve our label. I don't mean our ingredient label. I mean,
really,
like the design of the can, all this stuff had to get approved. Which I knew. I was like, I don't think I've ever told this. I went to print with the cans before approval. It was a big risk because we had such a short amount of time, and everybody was like, "You can't do this without getting." My attorneys, they don't like when I do any of these conversations, but this was a long time ago. But you have to get approval of these cans to be able to sell beer in it. It's the legality of this. They treat making a 4.8% alcohol beer as if we're running a nuclear weapons facility. It is wow. I mean, I've been fingerprinted by the FBI, the state, multiple states, all these kinds of things you have to get done to sell a beer.
Meanwhile, you could kids could buy fentanyl off Snapchat,
Yeah, no kid. Well, no, the thing is you can literally become a school teacher placed in charge of little children, and you have less background, whatever you call it, checks and fingerprinting, FBI, federal stuff and everything that they go through to be in charge of our little kids than I do to sell a beer.
Wow.
I mean, it's a shame to say I have some kind of ATF license, and I don't like the ATF.
How many takes did it take to get the label finally approved? Like, how many rounds did you go
One,
through?
believe it or not.
Just one? Okay.
Yeah. It was one of those things we presented, and it was, I don't know. I think everyone involved knew if they said no, the controversy would have been far worse just saying, yeah, there's nothing wrong with putting a flag on a beer can.
Asian Soul says 4.8 is a breakfast beer. Would you concur?
I mean, for him, perhaps. I don't know his routine, but if that's what
would Ben
rolls.
Franklin drink it for breakfast? Okay, what would you for people that have never tried this? What other beers would you compare it to, like in terms of taste? Like
I hate doing this because then everybody wants me to name all these other competitor beers. But you know what's something I found that's funny is people come up to me and they'll tell me all the time, like, it really tastes like, and then they'll say like Miller Lite, or then they'll say Yingling, or they'll say like, to everyone it seems like it has a different type of beer it tastes like to them. But it's a classic American lager. It's not a light beer, but it's a lighter lager. So if you like a light beer or if you like a full lager, you're probably going to like this beer as well. We wanted something that just vast majority of people would drink when we came out with this, because we knew we couldn't have like tons of different variations launching and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I like a Miller or a Yingling. That's good.
Then you definitely like this, and this is much higher quality as well.
More photogenic. I'm just gonna buy some and just practice posing in the yard. I'll just practice posing for next year. So I'll be
Send me your address. I'll send you some beer. DM me your address. I'll send you some beer so you can start practicing on that.
You're sweet. Okay, thanks, Seth. Where else can people find you and follow you other than Twitter?
I'm on Instagram as well. I don't even think I've opened my Instagram in a couple days. I don't think the catastrophe the calendar gate is going on over there. It's so funny. Like there's just different silos of where we all live. But you can also find me on Instagram, just looking up my name.
Okay, awesome. Sounds
good. But you can also yell at me on Twitter. Yes,
yell at him on Twitter, please. You have a few more days before people move on from calendar gate. So get your jabs in now. Call Seth Demonic on Twitter at Seth Weathers, and be sure to tag Ultra Right Beer. Seth, thank you so much for coming on. Good luck to you, and I can't wait to see what you guys do next.
It was great to be here. I definitely want to come back when we launch some of the new secret project.
Ooh, I can't wait. And thank you to the chat for your comments and questions, and we'll see you next